Well, she had
Are you guys something next to each other? That's what he was saying, it was likely.
I was talking.
In. Does the other one connect?
I would like to call this November 15th school board meeting to order. If you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
You, Deb, if you can.
You can stand by.
Deb, if you can establish quorum, please.
Is everybody logged in?
Yeah.
Art, are you logged in? Oh,
That's yellow.
no, not yet.
I am.
Oh, you're okay, thank you. And then I see Mr. Wells is up. Thank you.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to set the agenda?
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Okay, any changes, comments? Seeing none, Deb, if you can call for the question.
Online voting is now open.
See your case?
You got yours?
No, here I just missed it. Okay.
Nope, I may have to go back and come back in.
Yeah.
I didn't get one, so I'm going to go out and back up there.
Just a second. Say something.
Okay,
How do you vote?
yes.
It's unanimous, thank you.
Okay,
It's kind of breaking protocol with the board. I just want the board to know and everybody here to know that we have a child that was taken to the hospital today, just a while ago, in fact. And Lee Ramirez is just part of what I do. I always, even at a big district, one of us administrators would go to the hospital and talk to parents, offer assistance, whatever we need to do. And so Eddie is over there with the child this evening.
yeah. Oh,
And if I get some updates, I'll let you know.
all right, hopefully everything's gonna be okay.
Why is he there?
Hmm.
Why is he there?
I probably can't say that's a HIPAA thing. Not good stuff, though. Never go to the hospital for good stuff.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of our October 18th, 2020 board meeting, 2022 board meeting, sorry.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Any corrections, anybody? All right, Deb.
Online voting is available. You able to log in, Ms. Rose?
No, I can't find it now. My answer is yes.
Thank you. That is unanimous, thank you.
Okay. Approval of the minutes for the October 25th, 2022 IPP board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the IPP meeting.
Second,
Any corrections on this one? All right, Deb.
Voting's available.
my answer is yes. I can't even find my board docs now. It keeps popping up to this. And I can't.
That's long. Okay. Okay.
And it passes unanimously, thank you.
Okay, approval of the minutes for the November 1st, 2022 board work session meeting.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes in the November 1st board work session meeting.
And any corrections or changes there? All right, Deb.
Voting's available.
My answer is yes.
Mhm.
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay. Now then. Let's try this. Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, okay, moving on to reports. Celebration reports.
I have one.
You too.
So far, we have 84 people signed up for the Christmas.
Oh,
All right.
That's more people than attended last year.
And that's 84 people or 84
84
employees? Okay. So that includes spouses on some of them?
There are a big handful of for employees or people not bringing a gift, so the
Okay,
majority of
nice.
those people are.
Okay, all right. Okay. I did get a chance to go watch the play at the high school. It was a little bit long, but it was very well worth it. Yeah, it was amazing. So I would encourage anybody, if you haven't seen it, to try to get there this weekend. Friday and Saturday at 7 and Saturday at 2. Yeah, it was. And it's, I think, was I reading, it's this is the first one ever done in English? Yeah, so. Yeah, they were amazing. They always are. They never disappoint. So good job there. In the football game. 14-0. So they're headed to, I think it's Eden this Saturday to play. So yeah, congratulations to them. The band did well.
Congratulations to all the football teams in this quarter of the state, pretty much to playoffs.
Yeah, they're still in the playoffs. And what I think I read in the announcements or somewhere, it's been 65 years since we've been this far. Yeah. Yeah, so.
Well, I didn't get to go to the high school play, but I saw the middle school play. Very good.
Oh, yeah, middle school play was good too. Yep.
We also had two young ladies make the all-state softball team. And their crew made the all-state golf team. Winter sports are kicking off
Yeah.
today. Bring on winter. The middle school basketball team is doing well. They're undefeated. Right.
well, do we have any good news about academics? Anything to celebrate? I mean, sports is great, but we are.
We have a lot of kids that are being
Yeah.
accepted to colleges and getting
Yeah.
some scholarships,
That's
like they are got a good scholarship as well, but like a lot of kids that have been accepted.
We've got
for-
some great, yeah, I see every day, those kids are working hard, that counseling
Mhm.
office is
Yep,
working
those-
hard to get those kids accepted into colleges.
Mhm.
Good.
And they're going and
Yeah, a
doing
lot
some
of
great things. Kids are getting accepted to multiple big places and with big dreams and
I think that's wonderful.
these kids are doing well.
Anybody else? I'd like to celebrate Mr. Burris's birthday last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
But, okay,
I heard he was 28.
That's right.
moving along, student representative reports. Do you guys have anything?
I don't have much on high school. I think besides what you guys already said, I know our FFA team are districts tomorrow for speaking. We have prepared speakers, extemp speakers, and our FFA creeds. So they'll compete with Nashio. The rest of our district, Duck Creek, Nashio, Juarez. Probably it, Rainbow doesn't really go, but that's about all I know.
Like guys were saying about the play, I would play, it was good. And then, yeah, we had a home game today, and then I know that there's a basketball home game on Thursday.
All right. All righty, thank you, girls. All right, Mr. Burris, superintendent's reports.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for participating with the retreat last week. It was good to be able to sit around and just look at student data and talk about what things we are trying to bring together to improve the student achievement in the school district. Attendance, I just wanted to say that we met again today. I meet every Tuesday with the attendance committee. I do have letters ready to go, and I'm going to walk those to Child Protective Services tomorrow and see what they're going to say about it. I've also got a bunch to give to the courts at Toyac. We need the kids in school so we can teach them. Also, the training for calibration was really good. Linda Paul's really good at that. And it's what do they call inter-rater? Yeah, inter-rater reliability. So everybody does the same thing. Theoretically, I could go into a classroom and rate the same way that Jim's going to. So we still practice that. We practice that in our admin meetings, and we're marching forward with that. We've got some good examples of lesson plans, and it appears that lesson plans haven't been required for quite a while. So that's a little bit of a challenge to get those going, but we've got some good examples of them. If you have any questions about the rest of the report.
Has the absences slowed down from last year?
The what? Absences?
Is it,
Well,
are letters and stuff helping?
anecdotally, Mark ran a report today. And there were about 115 kids who had over 12 absences. Last
This
year, 100, yes. That had over 12 absences. But last year, at the end of the year, we had 1,260 that had over 12 absences. So it appears that we've slowed it down a lot. And I get comments from many of the elementary schools. They go, well, our attendance it looks like it's better.
Good. Okay.
For the absences, do you do excused or unexcused ones? Like what is the whole? Like the number?
Excused and unexcused?
Yeah, are the absences you count like the ones you just told, are they excused ones or unexcused or both?
Both. What I did in that letter last spring or last fall that I sent out, got 1,200 of them.
Yeah.
I combined the unexcused and the excused. It was parent excused or unexcused absences. Like you going on your FFA trip, that didn't count.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I tried to look at apples to apples as best I could. Of course, we're only, a little over 9 weeks through this semester. Good question. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ramirez is not here to give a report. Does anybody have any questions on his? That maybe Tom could answer?
Yeah, let me.
So I know he was, sent us the safety report document. Some pupil teacher ratios and the attendance, so.
As I've told you guys, he is taking over the district safety team. That was one place I was lacking just time. And building security is in the same ballpark as the safety team. He's been with me with the attendance things, meetings. He and I go to all of those. And the pupil teacher ratio, we've got a form now that actually has been presented to the elementary schools and middle school. And we know how many kids are in each grade. We'll have copies for you. In fact, he may have the copies, I'm not sure. So anyway, we'll have copies for you, so you can see exactly where we are with student achievement. Student numbers.
So reading the safety report, the high school raised some concerns. Any interior doors be locked from inside? No. And what's the other one? Are all outside doors locked? No.
Yeah, he found some that were not locked and actually propped open, and we're going to,
So, yeah, I just, we can't afford to have anything happen to our students.
absolutely. Same discussion I had with him.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the Executive Director of Finance reports, Mr. Archibald.
Well, good evening, Board President, board members, Superintendent. You have my report. Part of my report is the quarterly financials that covers July 1 through September 30th. We'll go over that after I go through the rest of my report, just so I can highlight some details there. We'll have a capital reserve request for a cooler. We can discuss that later. And then also next month at our board meeting, we're gonna go over, Ms. Lori Haley will report our audit to you. What we're gonna request is possibly having a work session 5 to 6 before our regular board meeting so that she can have a discussion about the audit and have a question back and forth there. Kind of similar to what we did last year. So that request will be coming up fine there. A couple updates I did want to give you a heads up on that we had our DAC meeting and we explained the structure. We moved towards a quasi-election process to try and just establish DAC members. What came of that is when we left, there were some ties based on the vote that took place that night. There were some people that were members that weren't there, so we reached out to them for their vote. We received all of them as of today. We're going to tally them up and see if we can make some determinations. If there's still some ties, we'll go to Mr. Burris and we'll see if we can have a tiebreaker and get that all settled. I think once we have the DAC established, it'll be much more of a good process. I think right now is just a lot of questions on why we're doing this versus what it looked like last year and some other questions, valid questions coming up through those chains. So as soon as we establish the DAC and we can actually have some movement, they can vote on things DAC instead of just having one-off questions. I think we'll make some progress and it'll be useful.
Let everybody there vote.
Everybody there voted. And then, but there were members. So for example, we had 2 teacher representatives that needed to be as part of the DAC. That specific meeting, they did not attend. They did not show up, so they weren't able to vote there. But they were of those 3 teachers that were of the elected, right? They were to be selected. So we reached out to them to get their vote.
You do realize that if one of us is absent, for instance, Cody, whatever we vote on tonight, he can't come back and cast his vote.
I think they were voting on who the members were.
Right, just the
Okay.
members.
They were voting on
Okay.
who
Just who the DAC is.
Yeah.
We're just trying to select
the
members.
voting members.
Right, voting members of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that, you know, once somebody's absent, they don't get to vote, so.
Right,
Let's
right,
be careful, let's not set precedent.
right. Well, the other avenue would be that the board select those members.
And we don't want to.
And so this is the process we're using to select those members.
That was a fast answer.
That was- Yes.
Yeah.
Understand, that's our
Yeah.
option.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm not arguing,
I know,
I'm just scared that you're setting a precedence and they're gonna come back and say, well, you did this, this, and this. So let's be careful.
Well, at the end of the day, if there's another tie, I'm just gonna break it. And,
Good.
Right.
Don't bring it to the board, please.
you know, A big guy. I've
Thank
got
you for
lots of
doing that,
shoulders.
Kyle. Thank you.
You're awesome, thank
No,
you.
no, it's fine.
I'm not jumping your.
No,
I'm just,
you're right, though, because it sound, perception is reality, so people. think-
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we've hit that a lot lately, so
Yes.
that's careful.
The other one that is still being discussed is charter school contracts. And so I'm gonna bring this up to you now, and this is gonna be something we're gonna have to continue and hopefully tie up soon. We issued charter school contracts to Battle Rock and Kiva based on conditions of an optional year. And to get the optional year was benchmark data that needed to be looked at, which required CMAS data and financial data. We don't have CMAS data for complete CMAS data for the prior 2 years. So to do a review doesn't consist with what the contract says. So we've reached out to the Charter School Institute because we're not the only ones in this boat. This happened in the state. And one of their recommendations was to kind of, I don't want to say leniency, but to just allow these contracts to get their optional year and end it and then just go forward. Because what happens is if we go into some kind of negotiation and say, well, we are just going to take out this piece of it. Do you agree? The charter schools may not agree. They may say, no, it needs to be 2 or 3 years or whatever. It becomes a point of capacity, and it becomes a point of we have to get in possible litigation issues if they don't agree. So they said a lot of the bigger districts are saying, look at your begin date, look at your end date with the optional year, just allow it and make sure that the next contract has all those conditions and the benchmark date and everything in there. So that you can do your benchmarks and see if you're going to allow them the optional year.
So it's give me a year.
Yes, right. So there's no official word. I mean, I still need to discuss this with the rest of the admin team. I just wanted to give you an update that that's going to be coming of what officially we want to do, because technically Kiva would be up for review right now, and next year they would either have to reapply or they get their optional year. So we're trying to move on this a little sooner than later, because they're in a spot where they don't know if they have another contract or if they got extended or what the case may be. So I just wanted to give you an update.
Thank you. And when you do the contracts, could you bring them to us and let us read them? Because last year when they were Battle Rock wanting to change their contract, we had no idea what they were talking about. So it kind of gives us a heads
Right.
up so we don't get caught like that again.
All right. I was going to move into the quarterly financials unless there are any questions before I move on. Okay. So I provided you 3 separate reports. The first report is the one that I want you to pay attention to the most. What you see here is it's called our budget to actual comparison. So it means what we budgeted versus what we actually spent. But the first 2 columns represent what we finished in our 2021 school year. And the next column represents what we finished our 21-22 year. And if you see at the top, you look at your beginning fund balance and you can see it grew substantially from one year to the next. And I can tell you it grew almost that much the year prior. So then if you go down, it breaks down to revenue. So how much we get from the local, county, state, and federal governments. And then transfers and allocations. Transfers, it just means that from our general fund, we transfer it to our technology fund or our preschool fund or our capital reserve. It's just transfers out of that revenue. Allocations is the same thing, but it means we have to allocate money to certain funds versus transferring. So those are just money we move from the general fund to other areas so that we can spend it appropriately. Then if you go down next, those are the expenditures at the school and department level. You come all the way down, then you have your net expenditures. So you take your total revenue, take your net expenditures, whatever is left over rolls into your reserve balance for the next year. So if you come all the way down to the bottom, you can see net income for 2021, $1.7 million. That's how much money we didn't spend that rolled into the next year. Then last year, you can see that we're anticipating, granted, these are unaudited, but we're far enough along in the audit where I believe these numbers are pretty substantial. We have 1.5. This this was something that I kind of analyzed mid-year last year, that we were gonna carry another 1.5 million. This is the information that gave me the opportunity to look at our salary schedules and say, look, we're carrying almost $1.5 million every week. I know we can increase our salaries at least this much and still be okay. So if you look at this year's budget, you can see it's not 1.5, it's more a lot along the lines of $300,000 to $400,000 that we anticipate that will carry. That's taking into account salary increases of this year. Okay, so I just wanted you to see that number is lower because we increase salaries across the district. Now, this also means that we're kind of at a cap in a sense. Granted, we're going to see a little bit more PPOR revenue from the state, but our October count numbers show that we're down 100 kids from last year. That's anywhere from $800,000 to $1 million. So what I'm trying to get at is, as far as future salary raises across the board for teachers significantly, we either have to really look deep internally and see if we're not being as efficient as we are, as we can be, or we got to look at other revenue sources. And I say mill levy, but that's just one example of some other continuous revenue source that we can keep to make sure salaries can be paid. I just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understood where that came from and how we got there and where we're at now. Are there any questions about this first page? Okay.
Well, I would like to tell you, thank you for doing the percentages. That really helps me.
No, it's a good indicator to see where we're at. And I mean, we're a quarter way through the year and typically like to see those around 25%. So if not, that means I need to push on principals and see what the reasoning is for the money expense. The next page lists all the funds. As I mentioned, we take our general fund and then we allocate or distribute out to these other funds. And so the general fund is what's left over afterwards. Technology fund supports technology, district technology needs. Activity and athletic fund is the 140 fund that the district does, if you're familiar with 140 versus 740. That's essentially all of our athletics. Insurance reserve fund. This is our general liability insurance and unemployment insurance and things of that nature. It's not our self-insurance fund. The next one down is the preschool fund. And then you have our nutritional services fund. Then if you go down to the next one, that's governmental designated grants. And what that does is that includes all the grants that are handled in that department. And they're put together into one fund, but it's essentially all, like I said, all the grants that we receive. Trust and agency fund. What that is that's our bond. So we went out to bond for the high school. So there is essentially a fund that's created for that to make sure we're paying our bond payments every year. Capital projects, that's our capital reserve. And then at the bottom is our self-insurance fund. This again just says, again, same idea, audited numbers from 2021, then 21, 22, and then what our budget is, and then what we spent year to date. Are there any questions on the sheet?
With the passing for the free lunches, is that going to take a ding on our,
So,
how's that, what's that?
right, how's that gonna affect us?
Yeah,
What I've heard, and I don't know if these are people saying how they feel about it, or if these are fact shit. I haven't been able to check, but what I've heard is twofold. One, the money that we're gonna receive from this is less than what we would have received under free and reduced. So because everybody's gonna be universally free, the amount we're gonna receive from the state is less than what we would receive if we had a parent fill out a free and reduced form and got the money from the federal government. I don't know that to be true. That's just what I've heard. The second part is because of where this money is coming from to pay for it, it's going to take away from our PPOR.
that's what I was waiting
It's
for.
going to be small, but it is going to be enough to where you can see the difference. Is what I've been told. Again, I haven't done the analysis, but this is what I've been told.
Well, I'd heard it was coming from our people.
So that's what I know of that being passed. Then the last page kind of takes all the, I don't know, the schools and departments out of it, and this is your straight, what's in our bank, how much the county owes us from taxes that we haven't been paid yet, how much other funds owe the general fund. So if you look, for example, interfund loan receivable, that number is usually not that high, but because we received all these ESSER dollars the last few years, what happens is in May and June, we may have made big purchases with ESSER, but we haven't received the money back yet, but we have to pay for those items. So the general fund pays for it, and then when we get the money in July, August, it pays us back. So, but right now, at the end of September, we were still in a spot where we were looking at trying to collect some of that money from previous year. Then you go down to fund balances, our restricted fund balance, our Tabor reserve, and then our Kinder Morgan committed fund balance. So that's essentially money that may be ours, but we're just waiting until we get the okay. And then our ending fund balance. Again, we're in a good spot right now, I think, with some of the things coming up in the year and legislation, we have to be on our toes, but I think we have a healthy reserve right now. So if something drastic were to happen, we would be able to save ourselves at least for a little while. I mean, salaries went up, so that's a good thing if we can continue in that direction. I think it's just now looking internally and seeing if what we're doing is efficient and effective, or if we're throwing money at things and maybe there's a better way to do it. So that's all I know for now. And then when we cover the audit next month, we can kind of go into more detail of how the self-insurance fund ended and where we're at and the things we've done to change what we can kind of project. That's an old thing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You said we were going to talk about the coolers later, right?
Great. You're right. I think we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, Executive Director of Student Academic Services, Mr. Parr.
Good evening, board, Mr. Superintendent. So you each have my report submitted. I'm going to be brief with it. There's just a couple of things that I highlighted that I want to go over with everyone. As you're aware, I lead off my board report with district strategic plan information, but I would like you to know that I've added to that. I shared this information with some members at the board retreat the other night, and but I just want to point that out so that everybody sees those points of the kind of how we're addressing the areas of the strategic plan identified and work that we're going to continue to do. If you have any specific questions about any of those, I'm certainly happy to answer them. But I wanted to highlight a couple parts of that. As you go, or the first part of that talks about exploring and acquiring turnaround resources from the Colorado Department of Education. And you're going to be looking at a document this evening about assurances for something called the EASY grant, which is very misleading name, by the way. It's empowering action for school improvement that could be put directly towards our schools that we're working to move their SPF ratings and the district as a whole if we choose. So we have to have, unfortunately, within the process, we need to have the assurances signed as we move forward into the next step of applying for these grants. So that's going to be something that you're looking at this evening in some of your items. But we are exploring those, particularly for Mesa Elementary and then middle school and Kemper Elementary as well. Because those are options that we have available and the district as a whole as well. And those can support a variety of things, whether it's plan building or more finite details about things we're going to do to turn around, or it can be continued partnership with external supports like we've seen in the past with the University of Virginia turnaround program. There's a whole host or a whole menu of items that you could possibly choose from, but what you're going to see tonight is just to kind of get that ball rolling. Also within the new addition in my report, again, just the main areas. Strengthening tier 1 instruction and listing some items for doing that. Effective educators. Mr. Burris spoke with you guys about the calibration work that we've done with our principals. We'll continue to do. That's just good practice work for us to do so that we're all on the same page and can provide effective feedback to our teachers. And then some work, some things we're doing with graduation and other things going on as far as like improving that percentage to meet our goal within our strategic plan. So those are some of the things listed there. For the most part, Mr. Orchbeck talked about our DAC committee meeting, but I won't go over that again. But and I did want to point out to you at the end of this report, I've included some up-to-date STAR testing results for you to have a look at. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Carr.
Thank you, Jim.
All righty, Executive Director of Human Resources, Mrs. Eldridge.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Burris. You received my board report. And again, as following Jim Carr's footsteps, I'm going to make this brief. Because I know how much you all love to talk about insurance. Mr. Burris told me that was his favorite part. I know it. So we conducted open enrollment for the last 2 weeks. We've been accepting enrollment forms from all staff. We had complete staff meetings with Anthem and USI representatives here on site. We met with each department individually and then by campus and at the at Mesa Elementary for all of the elementary staff. The staff had following 2 weeks to submit their applications, and open enrollment has officially ended as of last Friday. We processed the applications, prepared them for transport, and shipped them off UPS to Sonia with Anthem to be input and enrolled into their system. This should happen by the end of this month, and staff members should have their new coverage cards in December, and able to register and participate in the wellness program by the time that this coverage begins January 1st. I'm being very optimistic and encouraged by the comments and the feedback that we've gotten from our employees that this process should run smoothly and without any glitches. We've got some really dedicated individuals with Anthem and USI, as you know, working diligently to make this a smooth transition. I will give you another update next month, a brief, hopefully, on where we're at as far as enrollment and the whole process of transferring premiums from EBMS or Cofinity over to Anthem, how that works. Okay. There's one item that I wanted to address in regards to the vision coverage during right prior to open enrollment. Started initiating all of the contracts. It was identified that the 2 optometrists here locally were not in-network providers with Anthem, and it would take approximately 5 to 6 months in order to transfer them over under Anthem. So to eliminate any out-of-network costs for our members, all of our staff, we pulled the vision back out from Anthem and remained with Sunlight, who we know are in-network providers. And in doing so, Sunlight gave us a huge discount to continue with them this year. And so that discount will be passed on to our employees.
as far as video coverage. But we continuing working with those two providers to get them signed up to be number providers with have that full down coverage. I'm pretty excited about the progress that we've made with Copper Point Insurance. That's our workers' comp insurance provider. The diligence that we ensued last year, working with our employees and bringing attention to reducing the cost of our workers' comp claims, and also working with our medical provider to provide light duty releases and also return to work. We've already been able to reduce our experience modifier by approximately 0.74 points, ultimately reducing our experience modifier to 1.36. And in 1 year, that's a $26,371 savings. And to continue with that, we have a claims rep who will be on site Thursday. I'll be meeting with him to do risk assessment and also implement a loss control program and start providing our employees with specific duties and department training to try to decrease any type of future losses and whatever we can do to manage those claims and reduce that experience modifier. Moving on to SIDSIT, our liability insurance coverage. I did provide you explanation and a report on the playground equipment at the middle school and the status that has been red tagged and bin stopped. There were some items identified when we added the playground to our liability coverage. Since it came down and did a walk around, they identified issues that they wanted to have inspected. And so while we're having warranty work completed, that equipment has been stopped and is out of use for temporary until it's repaired. Mr. Burris and Mr. Ramirez, also Kyle and Jim and I are diligent meeting with the manufacturer and the installers. That was taken care of as soon as possible. The HR updates and staff openings is very explanatory. If you have any questions in regards to this, please let me know. Otherwise, that's up to.
That work into help modifier 1.36 is that a pretty standard one for school districts, or do you still have some that
We have plenty of room. We want to have that under one. I know, yes. No, when I first started, it was over 2 points. And that's neglect, I think, of just not implementing specific requirements as far as following workers' comp regulations. And it's just a matter of not having someone oversee that or implement those policies in the past. Having a specific medical provider that we send our employees to every time there's an incident or an accident, and being consistent with following with the physical requirements for the job, having those updated job descriptions provided to that medical provider so they can look and they can say, okay, well, we can get you back to work, but you have this restriction. And in the past, they've been just sent home until they are better. So that would be considered a lost time accident, which increases those experience modifiers substantially. And there's a lot of room for improvement. There's been slip, trip, and falls, lifting improperly, back injuries, those types of things. And then also high claim area is we call this student versus teacher injuries, where students have actually injured the teacher. So, you know, we're addressing that with behavior, implementations of what can be done, how that can be avoided, what the teachers can do to reduce their risk of becoming injured. But these are things that you have.
Okay.
Anything else? All right.
Do we anticipate going back to Anthem? Staying?
Yes,
Okay,
I want it all come back,
I know that,
Okay.
sure, like a bundle.
completely. And so right now what we're doing is Anthem, actually USI is working with those providers to walk them through the process to becoming in-network providers for Anthem. And it's quite a lengthy process. You would think that you just, sign the line and you're a network provider, but there's negotiations and there's insurance processes that they have to learn and implement. So it takes, like I said, 5 to 6 months to have that done. So this time next year, all of our local providers as in-network providers under Anthem, and that's doctors and dentists and optometrists. And I mean, for the most part, they all are now. There's one dentist that's not, but he's already reached out and is working with the Anthem to become an in-network provider. So that this will be a good transition.
Yeah.
Anything else? I do need to make a comment about the consent calendar. There is no winter which is listed. Regrettably, that wasn't processed in time to be on this consent calendar. That will be on the next one. And so if you have anyone reach out to you and ask you why it wasn't, it will be next month, and then contracts will be implemented.
A quick question, and I might have missed this, but did everybody enroll in time, or did we have a percentage that didn't re-enroll?
We've had stragglers.
Okay.
We're making exceptions for those that didn't meet the deadline, and we are scanning and emailing those directly to Sonia. She was the representative who addressed the board for Anthem here, and she's taking our account under her wing. I spoke to her earlier today. I was really worried about those few people who didn't get their applications in on time, because emails I sent out was basically, if you don't get them in by Friday, you're not going to have insurance next year. But there's always a few that just, for whatever reason, didn't make it. And she said that she will be working all through the holiday next week to make sure that every single person is their applications reviewed, that she's going to compare it to the previous census report to make sure if there's any discrepancies or anything that doesn't look right, and that she's going to take copies for anyone that has it. Not that that's going to be an excuse for people to continue.
I started to say that's not fair to her to give up her.
She
Thanksgiving
said
break.
she already planned. She went on her vacation when we had open enrollment, and so she's covering for the rest of the staff next week. This afternoon, when they were all here.
But for the most part, we had
Oh, yeah.
huge percentage get that done.
I think there's been 4, and I'm pretty sure they're all in now.
Nice.
There should be somebody else.
We can be stragglers.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, board reports, requests and reports. Anybody?
I do, always. So, we were supposed to meet last Saturday in Durango with Casby, and not enough people signed up. And so I did a Zoom link with Lyman and listened to them. And basically what they said was they felt like Casby was not honoring the rural districts, and they did not trust them at this point. So what they would like to do is they want to look at the bylaws, not the board, not the Casby board, but a member from each region, look at the bylaws, and by 23, have the new bylaws installed. So the December 1st meeting, that's Thursday that we're there. There's going to be a meeting and they're going to vote on this resolution for number 31. And because it was postponed, so I'm going to read it to you. And I talked to Tom yesterday, Mr. Birch yesterday, and we added a sentence to it. And so I called the person that's rewriting this and told him what we wanted to add, and he's going to take it before his board tonight and see if they approve of it. But it's upon passage of this resolution by the CASB Delegate Assembly, the CASB Board of Directors will be restructured to have one member for each of the 12 CASB regions to serve on the Board of Directors. Each CASB member who is elected to serve on the CASB Board of Directors to represent the CASB regions will serve a term of 3 years. Currently, and then the sentence we had was only duly elected board members can participate and vote at CASB board meetings. Currently serving members of the Board of Directors who serve in a CASB region that have multiple seats will be removed as terms expire or through attrition. So there's 5 at-large members right now. And as their time is up, which will be Thursday at our meeting, they would, if this passes, they will not be reelected to their position. So, and then we'll have 1 rural, it goes on down, but there'll be 1 rural at large and 2 non-rural at large to even the playing field. There, I have a letter here that a gentleman wrote that was read at the Lyman meeting. I only have 1 copy, but I would really highly recommend you guys to read it. It's really puts it out.
On Deb and have her put it up on the,
Yeah.
on the website.
Well, it's 3 pages, so she probably, but she can, you can send it to Deb and have her send it out to us. It really lays it out in the format of what's going on at the CASB, and it shows how many we have as Front Range, I-25 corridor, and the places they serve on the committees. And there's only like 2 rural people. I'm a rural committee on the finance committee. I'm the only one that's rural. So that really, the man that wrote that did a lot of research. He's a superintendent, not sure where, got the paper, so. But he's a superintendent from one of the schools on the eastern slope. The superintendent Callahan. So he wrote it and did a lot of research. So as when Deb sends it out, I recommend you guys read it. Quite interesting. And just for your benefit, I will probably go as the delegate. But when this one came up before it was postponed, it was 43 were yes to pass it and 40 were no. And then it was postponed. So that's the rural districts that showed up. So the rural districts do make a difference, but as it came out at the Lyman meeting, rural districts don't have the money to send people to the CASB boards, you know, to the conferences, to the delegate assemblies and stuff, because it's a 1 day driving there and 1 day driving back. And if people work, districts don't have the money, and that's why they're not there. So they're talking, make the meetings where we can do it Zoom or something like that to get the rural districts involved. That was all I had.
Meeting on that Saturday, so the show is that we have to want to accommodate, we can schedule that meeting before on Saturday.
Yes,
But that was.
that was pretty common. That
I
wasn't,
didn't think it was intentional.
well, it was accommodating them because they were coming down from Denver. So they were making it fit their schedule.
But also thank Lane for our.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Good to see other boards having a lot of struggle, like Durham County, shutting down 16 schools last week.
Yeah,
We didn't make
Yeah.
it.
That's
that's a lot.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Denver Public Schools is shutting down 10.
Mhm. Yeah. DPS is.
Yeah.
So we're all feeling the crunch.
Just due to, mainly due to teacher shortages.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one from Jefferson County said they were, all of their buildings were only at 60% capacity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like down 26,000 students or something like that.
Yeah. Students didn't come back after COVID.
Anybody else have anything? Report or? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, all right. Citizens address the board. Deborah, do we have any? No?
Don't have any.
Oh, wow. Okay. All righty, well, I'm gonna hurry up and move on to some
Wow.
discussion items. No discussion items, but we do have some action items. I need a motion for the personnel consent calendar.
I make a recommendation, we approve the personnel consent calendar as presented.
Second.
I need to make you aware of one change that just came in today. On section A under employments, the last name there, that person didn't end up accepting. But they have worked with us for just a bit, so they're gonna, they will be on the payroll under the substitute section. So I wanted to let you know.
Okay. And you'll just make those corrections. All right.
Online voting is open.
So mine's not there. It finally.
Oh, no.
I'm going, oh.
And it passes unanimously, thank you.
Okay. All right, action item B, the Cortez FFA lettering.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the Cortez High School FFA lettering as presented to the board.
Make a motion to accept it.
Second.
I'm surprised that they haven't,
I don't know where this got lost in over the past years and stuff.
yeah, because I always thought they lettered.
My question is, will this start as of tonight or will it start next year?
No, so Miss Wallen helped me and put me on an email with some administration, so I've gotten to talk with Elsie and, right now, I think it's fine. We are gonna purchase like the FFA patches through FFA, just like, TRASA does for sports and FCA did whenever we had that. They will provide like the MC letter. If we want a little pin or something, because we made it to where you can get like a bar. We can either use the bars we already have, that's just a bar, or we can find an FFA pin if we'd like to. That we'll purchase on our own too. We haven't quite decided on that, but right now we're just searching. I think everything's okay as far as I understand and approved. We just are searching for that patch that fits into, Elsie made it technical, I don't understand it, but like fits into the landmark for something or the other. So we're just searching for a patch that will fit what we need and that we can get. And I think I understand it's good other than that.
So you can letter this year.
Yes, we're gonna try to do it like as possible, because I would like to be here. So
Yeah,
That's
Monica, are
good.
you saying that the club will reimburse the activity department for the purchase of the MC letters and bars? Or the
No.
athletic department is just providing them?
So I think, well, I understand the athletic department will provide the MC letter like they do for all the other lettering things. But the FFA patch itself that will say FFA on it, we will purchase separately.
That's what.
Yeah, I figured that would be, but yes, I did get that.
all right,
Voting is done. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Guys.
All right, action item C, the high school handbook review.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the review, which will remove the piece of the high school handbook on page 22 called testing out of courses.
Get a motion?
I make a motion that we remove it.
Second that.
And so we're just going to remove that whole section.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, it's just amazing. There's things you don't find, and this one's one of mine.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah, I know. Testing out of courses was put in there, I think for good reason, to try to get kids who were ahead of the game to get into advanced courses. But the way it's written, it can be abused too.
Mhm.
And so I contacted Brad Miller, and we go back to the whole premise that there is a thing called seat time, and there's a thing called required attendance, and the number of hours for an actual school year. And this does not meet those litmus tests.
I agree.
Okay.
Let's put in there. It used to be.
You know, Deb went back and looked at it, and in 2019-20, it was not in there. But in 2020-21, it was, correct, Deb?
I couldn't find it. And I
Okay.
looked through the whole.
Yeah.
And there were big rewrites those years of it.
So this is the second year it's been in there.
That was my take.
It's been in there previously, like I have an application for the year ago. For testing out, it's probably been on the books at some point. I don't know when it's moved, I don't know when it's like that, but it should have existed in some form for a while. Big Rob is also good one that's been practice for a while.
Was it in practice and just not in the handbook? Like they were just doing it and then just decided to put it?
But I don't know. The way Dave made it sound is it's mostly for the middle school students coming out of the middle school who, for example, wanted to test out of algebra one.
Right.
Right.
Because they had algebra in middle school and they wanted to go in.
For proficiency, so they could start as freshmen in geometry. They didn't get credit for the course. They just-
Yeah, that's the
They
problem.
just bypassed
This is
it.
giving credit. You should be able to test out of something, get to the next level, but you're just trying to
Right, so.
get into the.
Word has been.
Yeah.
Perhaps changed, and I agree with Mr. Brooks, that's not probably reflective of its original intentions.
All right. Yeah. All righty.
And I just have, I'm assuming that these names have all been changed in the handbook, because
The version I used was the one that the high school turned in and they would be asked for them.
oh, okay.
Still.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Online voting is new. Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay. Action item D. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was D.
Oh, you're right.
The
Sorry.
2022-23 Empowering Action for School Improvement Program funds.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the 2022-2023 Empowering Action for School Improvement Program funds. Mr. Parr will add some in a moment here.
Anybody had any more questions on that or anything?
Get a motion.
Oh, can you get a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the easy.
Second it.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is basically the gateway for us to acquire resources from the Colorado Department of Education. Help in any turnaround work that we might be engaged in currently. as I stated before, it could be in a variety of ways. Pathways, if you will, that we will choose to help support our schools in improving those SPF scores so that they aren't on the turnaround clock. And that we are in a better place as far as overall performance going forward. So if we're awarded any of these grants, of course, we bring the grants to the board for approval. But this document requires the signature of our school board president and of our superintendent. So that's our step in that direction.
Is it very much money? I mean, I guess, let me put that in context. Even though we'll have our tests before school's out, will there be enough there that we can do summer school?
Well, we can already do summer school because of resources that we have aligned.
Because of our ESSA.
ESSER, we have a grant that we're also working on. We've had at Kemper Elementary for a couple of years. So those things are already in place. This would be, again, more focused planning for those schools. The award ranges, depending on the pathway that they're chosen, it can be anywhere from like $30,000 at an entry level to $150,000. So a year or two. Yeah.
And then and so could we use it for like PD?
Absolutely. I mean, we could
Curriculum alignment.
we could do all of those things that, I mean, we've already engaged in some of that work, but this could further enhance it and quite frankly, bring probably a stronger lens to that work and really highlight it as a priority for the district. And it falls in line with our strategic plan that we created this summer and district unified improvement plans and school improvement. So
do you submit our strategic plan when you do this?
not necessarily for this. It will be talked about within the grant writing process. Bonquist and I will be getting together to discuss that and talk about the narrative that we have to create for that. But like I said, it's not exactly easy. It's like a choose your own adventure. You click on one box, then another box opens and you have to answer that, and then that takes you to another box. So it's, you know, it's kind
So it's a lot of fun. That's what you're saying.
It's typical kind of, yeah.
It's not something you can just print out, fill out and turn it in.
And you said this is a multi-year,
Yeah, it can.
it can be, do you have to apply for it each year? Or just kind of
Not
put your
necessarily,
name in?
depend on the work that we're.
Okay. Okay.
Or, so it can be granted at individual schools or district in general, so
Okay,
there's a couple of avenues to go.
great.
Online voting is available. It passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay. Action item E, the school health professional grant program.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the school health professional grant program.
Motion?
I make a motion that we do approve the school health professional grant program.
Second.
I can speak to this. So,
Okay, please.
this, I believe, will be the third year we get it, that we would get this grant. So this grant can be used for school nurses, school psychologists, social workers, and school counselors. Not only for their salaries, but training and resources for them. We primarily use this for school counselors. It is only because we have other funding to pay for our nurses, we use Medicaid to pay for our nurses, and so this has been where we've been trying to, if we need another counselor at school, this is where we look. Last year, we were awarded, we couldn't find a counselor to fill this, so we filled that void with PD and we sent all our counselors to a conference over the summer. This year, we're hoping maybe we can get a counselor, but if not, we're also in talks with the Southwest Memorial System and seeing if they have anything that they can provide that would be covered under this.
if there's something that can be done there so that we're not having to send this money back, because if we don't spend it all this year, we have to send it back. So,
Yeah, no givebacks.
it's a good thing, definitely you're a counselor and school psychologists are expensive, so this helps out. And especially providing them PD, because all the other grants and everything is really focused on teachers and curriculum. So this gives those other people an opportunity to kind of do other training in PD too.
Anytime you can partner with an outside entity, like Southwest Memorial, you're just strengthening that resource base.
And relationships.
Yeah.
Online voting is now available.
While you're voting, our student is awake and responsive and things look good.
Oh, good. That's good news.
The vote passes unanimously.
Okay, action item F, the capital reserve request for a Mesa walk-in cooler for $22,591.86.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the capital reserve request for Mesa walk-in cooler in the amount of $22,591.86.
Make a motion to accept this.
Okay,
So I made our school nutrition director jump through a lot of hoops to get to this point. We looked at Manon and
That was my
we
question.
looked to see if any of those are salvageable to the extent of what they needed at Mesa. And what we found out is those were actually what was at Manon were somewhere else at one time that had been taken apart and put together at Manon. So outdated pieces, the refrigeration and I guess, not the housing, but the actual mechanics of it, we were able to salvage and we can use that somewhere else or replace something if something goes out. But as far as the whole cooler itself, it seemed like it was going to be a waste of our time to move it over there. So the next we looked at other options, kind of like what Manon is like a cooler in a box. It comes in a box, you take it and you put it together in pieces. What we found though is because this one's going to be outside as opposed to how it is at the warehouse where they're inside away from weather, there are obviously they all come with warranties, but there's issues with leakage inside and them leaking out and creating puddles and some other things. So this option is a little bit more. However, it comes with a 25-year installation warranty, a 12-year structural warranty, and then the compressor. This is a cooler versus a freezer. So there's a 5-year warranty on that compressor. And it's an all-in-one sealed box. It's a sealed contained unit that doesn't have to be put together. They bring it on a semi, pick it up, place it, they level it, they do everything. All we gotta do is run electricity and water, which we already know what we're gonna do it in the back of Mesa. It's gonna take a little bit of the parking away. But I don't know what the other option is at this point. It's gonna take probably 2 spaces away that are back there. However, those spaces traditionally, from my understanding, Robert, it may be able to speak differently. We try to put cones there anyway, so that when we do come there and deliver food, there aren't cars there, so it's not really taking them away.
Currently, we don't use those. Right, okay, it's for deliveries only, so if it's supposed to go where it goes, it's gonna fit.
Perfect. So this is, again, this is a little bit more expensive than one of the other options. But like I said, I've made her go through every avenue to get here. And I feel like because of Mesa's situation, they have more kids this year. They already have kind of a small kitchen. I think this would really benefit them, be able to serve those kids better or more.
and how long it's a 25-year warranty on the installation, but how long are they actually, their life expectancy in general?
About 25 years.
About 25 years, about the time that the day the warranty is up, it goes out the next day.
Off the board, it's gonna go out.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
25 years.
So they,
Like a soft big unit.
Right, so if you go to the proposal and you go to the picture at the very bottom, it's literally just like that, right out of the box.
Oh, wow.
and so they're pretty much would be set for a while then.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Would they have access to it from inside the building, or would they have to walk outside?
They're gonna have to walk outside. It's gonna be. I think there's a certain amount of feet that has to be legally away from the building, but they're gonna make the walkway and do the best they can. There's just no way that there's no space inside the building.
I'm just concerned about ice.
Well,
stuff.
that was our major concern too, with anything being outside. You have to make sure that that walkway is
Yeah, because if they're carrying armloads of food or something
right.
and it's slick, we're in trouble.
Right, we're thinking about the same thing for the portables too, like those walkways are gonna. We're gonna have to put some extra effort to make sure those are maintained differently or in a way to where they're not being iced over.
Good, thank you.
There's no way to put an access into it. In the inside building.
That's a possibility. That wasn't part of this proposal idea, but I imagine if we put it where we need to, there may be a way just to put up a walkway right in the
Walkway.
building, at least, even if it's an outside structure. I
Is
imagine
there only one? I can't tell from this picture of your stuff. Is there only one
way in, one way out.
door to it? Yeah, that just doesn't seem very convenient to me.
Right.
And that's concerning carrying food and stuff.
It must be kind of like the one at, Parker's.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
yeah.
you got your grease busters on and your.
Does this need to be read?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Go ahead.
Montezuma-Cortez School District RE1 2022-23 capital reserve request to the school board. Date of request November 15th, 2022. Funds available $148,799.01. The account 430-740-00-2600-0735. Amount requested $22,591.86. Project description, Mesa walk-in refrigerator cooler identified by a needs assessment. Multiple bids provided, business office confirmed funds are available, no permits required, project coordinator maintenance. Whereas the administration has needed an additional $22,591.86 to purchase a walk-in refrigerator cooler for Mesa Elementary. Now therefore be resolved that $22,591.86 is authorized for expenditure from the capital reserve fund.
So that only leaves us like 120,000 for capital reserve. What's coming up?
So that 120,000 would be for unforeseen capital reserve expenses.
Okay, so we've got our 5-year
have-
plan.
We
and-
have budgeted things for other things, vehicles and other equipment, things like that. That's just the amount that's left over that we approved, that we could use, but just hasn't been allocated anything. So every time I come to you with something that we didn't talk about, that's where I pull it from.
Okay. I just didn't want us to
Right.
lose something down the road that we desperately need.
Online voting's now available. Oh, I think I hit something.
mine came
I
through.
came up.
It's flashing on the screen. Did you vote, Stacy? I think it erased Stacy's sharing noise and.
Did it erase mine?
Where's mine?
Yeah, mine,
Oh, it will,
we'll move it back.
change my vote.
It says change.
How do you vote?
Okay,
Yes,
did it take mine?
yes. How do you vote, Mr. Jones? Thank you. Vote passes unanimously.
All right. Section 8, the policy revisions, first reading of JLCD administering medications to students.
Deb is great at policies and our policy committee is trying to stay up with Deb. But this one is kind of a merger of what we had in policy with the CASB policies. But what we needed in this one is the last thing at the bottom that's in green. And it is a provision that, and we got a prescription for Narcan. So we have Narcan available, and Jacqueline wanted to make it available in any emergency circumstance. And so we were told, she was told that it needed to be in policy, and that's where we're going. And it doesn't require its first reading, so if you have any questions, let me know.
Can I just say something very quick?
Sure.
There's just been an uptick in fentanyl in every avenue. Drug user, not drug user, it's being found in things where you normally wouldn't see it, and so we're just trying to be preventative because we don't know what's gonna happen, and we don't want to be in a situation where could have done something, but we can't because we're being held by policy. I had this conversation with Jacqueline, so that's what it is.
So I have a concern from the 1, 2, 3, 4, the,
Sorry.
We need a
Yeah.
motion first.
oh,
No,
Yeah.
no, it's a first reading.
it's first reading, yeah.
The fourth paragraph.
Is it the
Yeah.
4th paragraph? I'm looking at
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. The administration of medical marijuana. Marijuana must be in accordance with the board's policy on administration of medical marijuana to qualified students. Does
Okay.
that mean that it will be stored in the nurse's office?
No,
It will be in the
Should
student's locker?
No, it
No.
shouldn't be.
the only place that we would have medical marijuana, if it was even present, would be a parent coming into the school or I would prefer if we were there, to have the student taken home and that administered at home.
It doesn't say that.
I know that.
So I think we need to clarify that.
Okay. Perhaps.
I don't want us to get in a situation like we did with the. I don't want to set precedents here.
Okay.
So
I may.
Does it
I have a
say-
concern with that one.
Since medical marijuana is so new, I think what I'll do is I'll send this to Brad and let him,
Do we even need it there?
well,
Does anybody know?
I'll even ask, I'll ask that.
Yeah, because I would think that the kids could take it before they came to school or go home at lunch or take it after school and would not even be administered during.
Right.
The reference says no student possession or self-administration of medical marijuana, but school districts must permit the student's primary caregiver to administer medical marijuana to the student on school grounds, on a school bus, or at a school-sponsored event. That's
So we need to.
Colorado
make sure-
Revised Statute 22-1-119.3,
Yes,
3C and D.
I'll send it to Brad for his,
Okay, because I would like us to clarify that it has to be in the caregiver's possession when they bring it.
okay,
Mr.
Very
Ryan, if we are going to put a work session at the beginning of the December meeting, we can have some discussion on this after Mr. First gets back, the lawyer. before
That's
we
fine.
vote.
I mean, because we're not voting on it, we're just
Right.
going for our first reading.
That
So,
Okay,
good.
sorry.
That's good.
okay. The second reading for LBD Relations with District Charters, AB Parent and Family Engagement in Education, AD Public Information and Communications, and KF Community Use of School Facilities.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the second reading of LBD Relations with District Charters, KB Parent and Family Engagement in Education, AD Public Information and Communications, and KF Community Use of School Facilities.
Okay, the motion,
Make a motion that we accept the second reading for these policies. LBD, KBD, KB.
second,
So
did we have any other discussions on any of those?
No.
Online voting is available. And it passes unanimously.
Okay,
So on upcoming meetings, it says it will start at December 13th. It will be, that would be the only meeting in December. Is that correct? And you suggest that we start at 5 for our,
Have a
Auto
work session,
session.
5 to 6, and then.
All right, work session at 5, regular meeting at 6. Okay, very good.
Okay. All right. We'll adjourn this meeting at 7:24.
wow.